Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. This is Coach Tiffany Parra, Editor-in-Chief of Phoenix Fitness Fanatics Magazine, elevating your mind, body, and spirit. Happy Monday. This is our Mental Monday show. We are here to talk about practicing what you preach as a health advocate. So I'm going to bring on some of our contributing writers to really just dig very deep into this and maybe give some of you guys some tips on how to really just tap in where you need to so you can shine. So let me go and bring them on in. Hey, good morning, Teresa. How are you?
I'm good. Good morning, everybody, or afternoon or evening.
Oh, good morning. And hey, how are you, Audrey? Audrey's in the house.
Good to see you all.
I'm excited to have you all on the show today to chat about, on Mental Monday, right? About, again, practicing what we preach as health advocates. There are so many people out there that get stuck sometimes, and kind of get into some bad habits themselves because they're stuck in this hamster wheel that we'll call life. So I want you to just introduce yourselves first. So Teresa, please introduce yourself. Tell everybody who you are, where you're from, and a little bit about what you do. What's your expertise?
Okay. Welcome, everyone. My name's Teresa Palmer. I am a nurse, an advanced practice nurse, or nurse practitioner as it's called. I do holistic cardiology, and I currently live in Alabama. So now most of my work is done online. Prior to 2022, my work was mainly done with my patients live in a cardiology office. And what I do is I do something called heart consciousness, which is raising self-awareness, practicing self-care. It's kind of everything into one.
Awesome. Thanks so much for being here, Teresa. All right, Audrey.
Hello, everyone. Good to be here today. Hopefully, you're all having a great day. I am currently in Canada, Alberta. A little warmer here than normal on a January, so it's pretty good. I am a aromatherapist, Ayurvedic practitioner, just getting my naturopath, Akashic record reader. And so I am into total holistic, looking out for the whole body, not just one symptom at a time. So that's kind of what I'm doing. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much for being here as well, Audrey. So let's talk about this, everybody. So being a health advocate can be a little hard, right? And there's a lot of health advocates out there. You could be a health advocate when it comes to, fitness. What both these ladies do here are they're health advocates, working on being able to be heart conscious, right? And being able to tap into that. Also with Audrey, being able to, again, be that holistic, tapping into, what makes you tick and how you can, get into that happy place. So as health advocates, though, sometimes we tend to get in that trap of being always on, right? We're always on. You have therapists that are therapists just, 24/7 because they have friends that are calling them and, and just pulling at them, right? Or you go to the gym and you're your personal trainer and, you're on because you're wanting to help someone. Maybe they're doing something the wrong way, things like that. But how do we tap in so we don't get so depleted, because that's what's going to happen. We're going to get depleted and we're going to just burn out. So, Teresa, please share
Okay.
your thoughts on
Thank
this.
you. I love this topic because this is really what I teach, and I've been teaching for over 24 years now, is the fact that you can't drink from an empty well. So why are we always on? We're always on simply because we avoid ourselves. And that's what society teaches us. As women and men, but majority women, we're taught to constantly be there for everybody else. And if you're not, then you're either not a good parent, not a good grandparent, not a good professional. If you're a nurse that's not on 24/7, you're not a good nurse. And
Mm,
that's not true,
right.
because we need to spend time with ourselves. And I've been doing some research over the past few days. I'm writing a second book, and the book is about heart consciousness and self awareness. And do you know that the statistics for heart disease have not changed in many, many years? It's still the number one cause of death in the United States, and it's still in the top 5 worldwide. Well, why is that when there's so much awareness? There is so much talk about self-care, about education, about this, about that, research. Why is it? The missing piece is we don't look to ourselves or know ourselves. We
Mhm.
do everything outside ourselves, which there's nothing wrong with that. But if you don't work on your inner landscape, whatever you do on the outside, and that's including medications, everything from medications, nutrition to everything, does not work as well because you don't have your body in balance and you're not in tune with your body. So you don't know what your body needs. A lot of times we go through the motions. I mean, I've had patients tell me, "Oh, I was really tired yesterday, but boy, I got in that walk or that run. My knees are sore, but I got that in." Well, maybe your body's telling you to rest.
Mhm.
When you talk to them about that, "Oh, but I have to do this because this is part of my routine." Well, your routine could change with what you need, but if you're not aware of yourself, and by that I mean, how is your body feeling? What are the sensations in your body? Most people can't even tell you how they feel physically when they're happy. They can't even tell you that at all. Uh, Emotions, do we process them? Every day I've had people come to me and, say to me, "Oh, I don't want to feel this way. I need an antidepressant or anti-anxiety." No, unless you really can't get out of bed and you can't function
Right.
and you need a jump start, you need to feel those emotions. And that's another thing that's missing, is we don't process our emotions, how we're feeling. We don't look at our beliefs. We don't look at our perceptions. We don't know who we are. We're kind of like a robot that's out there doing all these practices that everyone else is telling us to do. And if it's popular in society, we just do it. And half of the time, we don't even know why we're doing it. So we need to get back to like when we were children,
Yes.
when it was just natural and instinctual that we look to ourselves. You don't see children on a playground deciding for 45 minutes what they're going to do. It's just natural for them to play. And they play. They start a game. If they don't like it, they play another game. There's not this head. But as adults, we're conditioned to be in our head and we're conditioned to be in our mind. And as a result, we ignore what our intuition, what our inner knowing, our body is telling us. And that's the work that I do, is getting people back with heart consciousness. It's all about breath, be still, and connect. And if I had to pick one thing for people to do, it would be still every day. Get to know who you are. And you could only do that if you're quiet. You can't do that talking to other people. You can't do that doing a million different things, looking at your phone. You need to do that when you're quiet. And when you're quiet, you get to see, how are you feeling? You get to know yourself. It's like meeting yourself, just like you would meet an acquaintance. we need to get back to meeting ourselves. So as a health advocate, what I tell all my patients, all my clients, is that it starts with you. And that's scary for people to hear because we're so used to going on the outside for everything. Oh, here's a diet, here's a medication, here's a supplement. I'm not knocking any of those things. What I'm saying is that if you don't start with yourself, those things really aren't going to help you, and you're going to get bored with them because you're not doing them for the right reasons. You're doing them because it's something you just think you should be doing. And as a result, you're not going to change your health, and you're going to sit there and wonder why. But it all starts with the individual, with going within ourselves to know who we are.
Ooh, I love that. I love that. So, I'm over here taking notes, okay? Because again, yes, and we do tend to just be in our own head, right? And when we're in our own head, we're in our own head thinking about all the stuff that's going on around us, and we really just need to just pause. Like you said, just pause. I had to do that. I mean, I just went through, a very emotional, time with my son, and I had to pause. I was sharing that with Teresa before we began because I had to just walk away from everyone and just go and just sit and just take it all in. And when you start to do that, I mean, it's just amazing. I sat there and I could hear my heart rate actually just calm down. And when I returned back to, the whole everything that was going on, the whole situation, I showed up better, and that's what we have to do. We have to be able to say, hey, I got to take time for me, because I had to say no at that time because I was being pulled in every single way, and I had to say, okay, no, let me pause. I need this. So you definitely do. So Audrey, what are your thoughts?
Definitely agree with everything Teresa said, for sure. The I always say we're not human doings, we're human beings.
Mm-hmm.
And that does include getting to know ourselves, right? So in my practices with aromatherapy, with the Akashic records, with Ayurvedic, it's all getting to know who you are. Your senses, getting to know all of your senses. So that's smelling, right? Just breathing in all of what the world is, so you kind of get to know that, the feel of things, and that's getting to know your body wholly, right? So and then with the Ayurvedic practices, it's getting to know the core and the root causes of who you are. So your being, your whole being is enlightened. It's who you are. And so for myself, I practice what I preach within that. It's I'm taking my vitamins for my body because I know that I feel better
Mm-hmm.
when I'm taking them, right? Because I know I'm not getting necessarily the nutrition out of the food that I eat, right? I move my body. I go for walks, and I do what's good for me, right? I'm not a gym person, so I don't necessarily like to go to the gym and work out, right? So I go out in nature and I take my walks, and I go, shovel snow, or I go because that's where I have here is snow, and maybe I move logs because I'm cutting up trees. So it's the movement, right? And I'm always thinking within those activities. So it's not necessarily that you have to sit and meditate to be able to do that, right? You can move and meditate at the same time. That's my way of doing it, right? So not everybody's the same. Some people have to sit in silence and figure out who they are. Me, I love to move and do that. So there's just different ways. So find your way. Find
Yeah.
your way of being, right? Not your way of doing, right? I may be doing an activity, but yet I'm still being who I am and I'm feeling my body. Like, I mean, if I'm tired, I go to bed.
Yeah.
Yesterday, I was exhausted, so I went to bed early, right? Today, I'm feeling energized. So know your body and really feel into that, right? Also your mind. Know your mind, right? Feel what your mind is thinking. There's several things you can do uh, to check your mind, right?
Mhm.
One of them is what Teresa always says is the breathing, right? Just breathe because you can feel what your mind and your body is doing in that breath. Yeah.
Yeah.
So for me, that's kind of what I my main thing is I don't want to be a human doing. I want to be a human being, and I'm feeling myself
Yeah.
at all times.
Feeling it all. Awesome. Thank you, Audrey. Hey, Coach AB. Welcome, welcome. Good morning. So I don't know if you, I know you popped on just a smidge late, but we are talking about practicing what you preach as a health advocate. You know, we tend to sometimes get, kind of caught up, and we're talking about avoiding the always on trap. People always pulling at us and us always having to be on and needing to learn how to say no, when needed. So what are your thoughts on that?
Oh gosh, this is. I was just about to write an article about learning to say no. Like, so it's like synchronicity here. I
Yeah.
agree with what Teresa and Audrey have just been saying. It's such good advice and such good information. And like you said, we learn to listen to who we are, know who we are, learn to listen to our bodies. My main technique is, I do the quieting thing and I also do the walking and meditating thing too, which works depending on how I'm feeling. I might feel a bit restless, so I might need to walk while meditating, especially early hours of the morning, like 5 or 6 o'clock in the morning when there are no cars around. And if you're lucky to live in a place where there are not a lot of cars, then that's fine. But I live in a place where there are loads of cars, so 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock is great. Um, Mental fitness is one practice that I've started doing over a year ago now, which I find is like weakening the monkey brain because the thoughts come in and we are not our thoughts because sometimes we think we are thoughts, but they just come in and we can't help them coming in, but we can choose what we want to focus on, and we can just be the observer of what we don't want to focus on. We can't force it out because if we try and force it out, then it stomps in even more. So we just have to observe and let it pass. And like Teresa and Audrey said, just be either maybe sit in silence and just listen to your body and understand where the emotions are going. Because our emotions are stored in our bodies.
Right.
And obviously, you don't mind if the positive emotions get stored because they produce positive effects. But if it's a negative emotion, it produces a negative effect and it might not be immediate, it might be in a few years' time. You might start having a pain somewhere, or some disease might crop up because the emotion has been stored there for a long time. So it's about being your authentic self, knowing who you are, and whatever somebody else thinks about you is none of your business. But I think sometimes we're so concerned about what other people think about us that we're
Mm.
not authentic. But if you're authentic, find out, obviously, we all have the opposite sides of us. So you might have a side that's really lovely, but there tends to be the opposite of you, which can be brought out from different things. So you might have a negative experience, and so the negative side of you comes out. So it's understanding that, understanding how you can be more proactive as opposed to be more reactive. Because sometimes, and I think everybody's your teacher, and sometimes people appear in your lives that might upset you, but really the spirit's trying to tell you there's something you need to work on. So being upset and reacting at the situation doesn't, not only does it make the make everything explosive, but it also is stored in your central nervous system, which is not very healthy for you. So looking at health is a priority. Without our good health, we can't do much, can we?
Right.
I know for me, if I'm really down. I mean, luckily I don't get ill, but when I used to 20 years ago get ill, it's like you can't move, you can't do anything, you can't even focus.
Mhm.
You might spiral into depression or anxiety, and then it's like a spinning wheel. So it's living healthily is important. For me, my takeaway with the other things the other ladies have said, definitely be on board with that. But also looking at your mental fitness for your brain, because the same way we want to exercise our bodies so that it does serves us, we also
Mhm.
need to be mindful that our brain has muscles in it that also need to be exercised. And so if we do our daily exercise in terms of being aware of when we're being negative and working on that to weaken that. So when you catch out the negative thoughts coming in, you catch them out. That weakens that, and also celebrating when you catch it. So yeah, that's not me that had that thought, that wicked thought. That's not really me. So I'm not going to judge myself for that wicked thought. That just came in, and now, yeah, and use other powers to strengthen your positives about who you really are. So
Yeah.
that,
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So really, I mean, what I'm hearing from everyone is, just kind of tapping in and really feeling what you feel. And I think when we're always on, we don't give ourselves a chance to feel that because we're worried so much about everybody else and everything else. So again, being able to say that no is very essential, again, especially because of the work that we all do and the way that we need to show up. When you are able to give yourself that time, whatever it is, whether it be, walking. I mean, movement is medicine. We know that. Being able to stay, on top of, those different, thoughts and, not pushing them down, but being able to take the time for yourself to deal with the different things that you have to, is going to help you to show up better as that health advocate. So there's a couple of things, this comes up, often when we as health experts, when we struggle with our own advice. Sometimes we go through, I mean, well, all the time, we all go through life. They say, what is that? Life be lifing. Okay. So, yes, we go through different things. We may go through a loss of, a loved one or a pet, or maybe we're going through, a job situation or a move, or, there's just a lot of different things going on, maybe in the background. And we tend to kind of maybe struggle with some of the things that we're teaching our clients to do. Maybe, you're a fitness expert and you're telling your, client, hey, you need to be in the gym for 30 minutes a day, 5 days a week. And yet you're only able to make it 2 because you've got so many things going on in the background in your life, right? So let's talk about that. Like, what kind of advice can we give to our health experts that are struggling, with their own advice sometimes? I know for myself, I have a coach, and my coach stays on me, and I'm very much held accountable there. What are some things that Teresa that you do to continue to follow in what practicing what you preach, in a sense?
Well, I do work with a mentor, and I think that's very important, is working with someone, like you said, who could even keep you accountable. Um, in my profession, I work with both a healthy not so sick and sick individuals, the entire span. So sometimes that could be difficult because as you see things, a lot of times you see that even within your own family or with your friends or family. And it becomes difficult because it's like, oh my goodness, I know what this could be. And your mind jumps to everything. How are you going to handle this? How are you going to handle that? And again, that's getting away from yourself. So, what I always do is every day I start my day with quiet time, yoga. I have my own little yoga routine because yoga is a perfect example of a moving meditation. Plus, it works every muscle, every fiber in the body, and it helps to regulate the hormones within the organs and the cells of the body. So, I highly recommend yoga practices to anyone. And there's hundreds of different types. So the best thing to do is just explore it and find a practice that's best for you. The second thing is I like the quiet meditation. So I always start my morning with a meditation and with breath work. So focusing on my breath and focusing on my heartbeat, because our heartbeat is really unique to each one of us. This is a whole different thing. It's going to become our security, our identity, rather than the retinal image or fingerprints. That's coming shortly. I would say probably within the next couple of years. So our heart tells us a lot. And when we feel with our heart, we could take the time to process things. We could sit with emotions. So if I'm feeling anxious or concerned about something, I always sit with those feelings. And why am I feeling that way? Is it something that's truly going on? Or is it something that maybe I'm jumping the gun with because it's something I've seen? And I start to get fearful that perhaps that could be something going on with myself or within my family. So I think the best thing to do is we all struggle. And I think for any advocate, I would tell them to know that you're struggling, to know that you're not perfect. And if you're really upset about something at that point, then I would think you need to cancel whatever appointments you have that day. But sit with yourself, be quiet, know that you're not perfect, and know that these things are going to come up. I know Tiffany had mentioned about sometimes therapists need therapy. I believe that one reason they become therapists and coaches is because they need that themselves. And it helps them while they're doing it as much as it helps everybody else. So be calm, be quiet, just be with yourself, learn who you are, and the more you're with yourself and the better that you know yourself is the better then that you could advocate for other people regardless of what you're struggling with. And sometimes it pays to tell people that what you're struggling with. A couple of years ago, I was in a situation where my husband became very ill. And what I did was I let people know, this is how I'm feeling. This is what's going on. It was hard at first, but you get the support from the people. Once you actually say it and you get it out of just you, then too it's easier to deal with, because now once you say it or write it, the situation becomes very real. And once it becomes real, then you could find ways to deal with it.
Yeah, love that. Thank you, Teresa. And Aji.
Wow.
Oop, you're muted. Uh-oh.
Okay. So can you reiterate this one? Like what?
So with this one, we were talking about just how, us as health experts, and you've got so many experts out there that, sometimes we struggle, at times as well, because we're struggling just in life, as even as Teresa said, it's like, we're not perfect, right? And I think a lot of times that does come up in a lot of health experts' minds, is that we have to be so perfect in what we're doing, because we are teaching that. But I love what you said, Teresa, that share what you're struggling with, because you're still showing up to help someone else, and that is going to help you through it as well. So just help experts struggling, and just with their own advice, like, and what we can do to help them to to be able to get to the other side of that.
Thank you. So this is kind of a perfect example of never perfect. Sometimes things are out of your mind, and you got it in your mind, and then all of a sudden it's gone, right? So for me, with that is definitely the mentorship. So I have a couple of mentors that I go to, and I do tell them, hey, I'm feeling this way today, right? And because I was just with them yesterday, which was so uplifting, and um, and I was in person with them. Sometimes the online isn't enough with your mentor, right? Sometimes it's that personal, getting a hug, right? Or giving a hug. The personal contact, I find, is so important. This is great, but one day I'm gonna go and I'm gonna come to you, Tiffany, and I'm gonna give you a hug, right? That's so different than just giving these virtual hugs. It is so different. So for me, it's the in-person. I love being in person with my clients. So sometimes it's impossible, but I love to say eventually we're going to be in person, and have that personal contact, because feeling someone online is so different than feeling them in person. So going to my mentor in person was like, amazing. I hadn't seen them in a while, in person. So it was like just a great experience to see them that way. And then doing the walk myself, I do a walk every morning. I call it thoughts on dog walks, because I go walk my dogs, and I just think, and I just be, and I just look at nature, and I just breathe it all in. So for me to keep grounded, and to be able to help others, I guess. I can't help others unless I help myself first, right? So I've gone through kind of the steps myself to get to where now I feel confident enough to be able to pass it on to others, and and practice what I preach, right? So I can't tell a client something unless I've done it myself first. So and that's kind of the same with my mentor, right? Like, I mean, they're not telling me something that they haven't done first. Now, they're not perfect, like Teresa says, right? We do fall. We do have times where we're like, oh man, I really didn't do that today. I just slept, and maybe that's kind of where we're at the time, is we're just sleeping and relaxing, and taking the time for ourselves, and not doing everything. But then that in itself is that in itself is something that I can then teach my clients, right? Is like, so I need to take that time, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's kind of things that I do to keep myself grounded.
I love it. Leading by example, I think that, it's huge. And just having someone else, that's important that you just said that, like having that mentor that has walked through the same exact thing. That is so vital, I think, for us to be able to, or having that mentor that's where you want to go, right? They've already gone through those steps. They've already gotten to that point where you want to go. And once you get to that point, then guess what? You're probably going to have to get another mentor that is even further along as to where you want to go to continue to just help to encourage you to get there. And I love that. I do. So thank you so much, Audrey. So Avi, what about you? When health experts struggle with their own advice, how can we get out of that? Like when we're struggling with our own advice, right? We're not showing up.
Yeah, like everybody mentioned, you get through the stages in life where you might get a little bit of a downer, and it's difficult to push yourself to do things that you have been doing, and so it's like the other said, to also practice what you preach. I'm not saying that's the reason why you're doing it, but how can you help others if you don't know the results of what you're going to get? So practice what you preach, and then you see the results, and then you're able to confidently relay those results to other people. So like you and Audrey and Teresa, I have myself a coach that helps me to keep accountability. So when I'm feeling that those times where I don't really want to do stuff, I know I have to be answerable. So that kind of motivates me to do what I know is right for me to do. And yoga, I used to do a lot of yoga, but now because I've noticed that I have more of an upper body weakness, so I'm more into calisthenics, which is kind of like similar to yoga. It's not yoga, but it's similar. But it helps build the upper body, and so that's what I do. But then it has the same effects as yoga in terms of like the breathing and the mental things that go with it, because that helps. It helps you with your soul, it helps with your spirit, it helps with your flexibility, it helps with your mental health. So definitely yoga, any kind of exercise that's like that. And then when I wake up in the morning, one of the first things I do is my PQ reps, which is the thing about the positive intelligence, looking at the brain muscles. So developing, kind of rewiring my brain to fit, to be more positive and do things more positively and have a more positive attitude, because it can be difficult, especially in difficult times with world news and stuff. You can go into that spiral, but to be able to see, I don't know if it's the silver lining, but kind of see the positives in a bad situation.
Yeah.
And that, because you can't do anything about the bad situation anyway. So the only thing is to build a positive attitude. And I believe that as a collective, if we got more positive people around, that helps the collective, in terms of energy. So definitely worthwhile. And so also things that can help me to be more positive in life is the food. So the food I eat, looking at what works for me in terms of my health, my physical health, and my mental health, and my spiritual health. Because the food also helps. What you put into your body has an effect on mind, body, and spirit.
Right.
It's not just the joy of eating, but it's also the benefits of what it does for us. So the breathing, to being more conscious of my breathing. Sometimes we get a bit, I don't know, lazy is probably not the word, but we get a bit easy with our breathing. So we're like breathing only up here, but being more conscious, take deeper breaths. So then that provides oxygen to the brain and also helps, like Teresa has pointed out several times, it also helps when you do the deep breathing, you're being more conscious. And so you're probably thinking more. And especially when you face difficult situations, if you think about the breathing, deep breath, it helps your brain to calibrate. So those are a few things that I try to do, apart from things like, I guess, journaling, gratitude, remembering what you're grateful for, etc. That's it. Sure.
I think staying that whole positivity thing is everything, right? Especially when we're struggling, right? Because we tend to we beat ourselves up, and I think just giving ourselves a little bit of grace and just saying, hey, you know what? We are all human. We all deal with some of the same similar types of things, and if it's that you're struggling because you're bored or with maybe that routine or whatever you have going on, then switch it up, right? Just switch it up, make it more interesting, make it fun. When you're struggling with some of your own advice, maybe it's time to tweak the advice. Right? So Teresa, please, this is the top of the week. We're at Mental Monday. We've got, man, this year just started and it's already like going to be 2 weeks in. Can you guys believe it? So what's some words of wisdom, words of encouragement that you can give to our audience today, just to help them continue to push through and to show up and shine, and then also give them how they can connect with you if they want to learn more about you, and also your book as well, please.
Okay. Words of wisdom. I would say the words of wisdom are simply to get to know yourself, to be present in the moment, regardless of what's going on. You could only take things one at a time. In fact, the brain could only handle, ideally, only 2 different situations. So when we try to multitask, the reason that we don't do that well at multitasking is because the brain can't handle all that. And either can you. So I would tell people to always be present in the moment, to stay positive but realistic, and to just be still. Take a few minutes every day to be still, to get to know yourself, and do something that you like every day for yourself. That, we're told to give to others, but you also have to give to yourself. You can't drink from an empty well. And how people could get in touch with me, my website is wellbeinggal.com, and it's all spelled out WELLBEINGGAL.com. I'm also on Instagram. I haven't been doing much social media lately because I am kind of changing things around. So I'm in the process of that. And my book that's been published since 2022 is called Heal Your Heart from Within. And it's available through Balboa Press, Amazon.com. And it's all about learning who you are, being with yourself, tools and the knowledge to help you cultivate that inner landscape so that everything else that you do, your outside practices, everything outside yourself works better, because a body in balance is a body that's less likely to become ill or have a disease. And it's all about the balance in the body, and that starts with you.
Awesome. Thank you, Teresa. All right, Audrey. Oh, unmute.
Oh, my mouse wasn't doing the right thing. It was going all over the place. Well, how to get a hold of me is probably best on social media, at Audrey, how it's spelled on there, and LINK, Audrey Link. Just look me up on social media, or Kahoo Sanctuary at gmail.com. That's another really good way. My favorite is WhatsApp. Definitely on WhatsApp. And the number is 780-202-0649. So I'll have to watch this again to catch that, I guess. Right. That kind of stuff. Yeah. So just to get together, I look over the whole you. That's what Ayurvedic does. And so does aromatherapy. We look at the whole you. I do have a book as well that I've co-published with, co-authored, and it is called Heal. just HEAL, and it is on Amazon. So that's what I and it's kind of a little bit about my story, and yeah, so that's kind of how you get a hold of me.
Awesome, awesome. And what's some words of wisdom or words of encouragement for the audience today?
So I really love the be a human being, not a human doing. So in everything you do, focus on just being present in the moment, taking everything in, whether that's the smells, the touch, the feel, the emotion of it, and that will get you closer to yourself.
Awesome. Thank you, Audrey. All right, AB.
Yeah, so my words of wisdom will be authenticity. Stay positive and be authentic. That's so important because you feel inner peace and you will find more joy and happiness by being you, not trying to be somebody else, and non-judgmental of self. That will be my top three advice. So you can reach me on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. And I do have a website, which is absheila.com. And also, I do have a book, which you can find on Amazon, and it's called Breaking Free. Breaking Free from, it's my own personal journey of breaking free from toxic relationship into success, I guess.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. Well, I want to thank you, ladies, so much for joining me today to chat a little bit about, again, practicing what you preach as a health advocate, being able to tap into resources that you need to when you're struggling with, your own advice as a health advocate. It can be tough, but guess what? You have help. We all here on this screen can definitely help you. And we have so many amazing people that are a part of the Phoenix Fitness Fanatics family, as well as the Own It magazine and publishing family that can definitely help you tap into your greatness. So if you have not subscribed to Phoenix Fitness Fanatics, definitely subscribe to us at, you can go to www.phoenixfitnessfanaticsmag.com 2021.com and you can get your subscription there. You can read about all these amazing things that these ladies have every single month, because they all are contributing every month, as well as the rest of the team. So we want to thank you all for joining us today on this Mental Monday. We love you so much. Stay positive, stay authentic, stay up, and we'll see you next time, everybody. Take care.